Good evening, everyone. Bonjour, Annie. Welcome to our regular meeting of council. I'll start with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. All members of council are present. I'll note that Councillor Wilson and Councillor Nadia Peltier-Living are joining virtually this evening.
Thank you. Takes us to item 3, review of revisions or deletions to the agenda.
Thank you. It's requested that the following items be removed from the agenda. Under Section 13, New Business, Item D, Memo Number 026-2025 CS, Grant Drive Land Agreement, as well as the corresponding bylaw. Under Section 14, Bylaws Number 2025-100, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of land on Grant Drive, described as Diamond Concession 3, Part Lot 9, Reference Plan 54R 4826, parts 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13 to New Glow Development Corp. We'll note that the purchaser and the city are continuing to work on revised terms within the purchase and sale agreement for council consideration at a future meeting.
Thanks, Logan. Are there any others? Seeing none. Takes us to item 4, approval of the agenda, and I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the City Council approves the agenda as amended. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Dawson. Second by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 5, disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Graydon declared a conflict of pecuniary interest related to Section 8, Presentations, Delegations, Item C, Skyline Energy and Blue Circle Energy presentation regarding a proposed battery energy storage system project in Temiskaming Shores, as he is an employee of a competing electricity provider. Councillor Graydon also declared a conflict of pecuniary interest related to Section 13, New Business, Item C, Memo Number 025-2025 CS for ABO Energy Canada Limited, request for municipal support resolution for the Temiskaming Wind Power Project, as he is an employee of a competing electricity provider. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any others? Seeing none, takes us to item 6, public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, and other statutes. A potential disposition of land. The applicant is the Temiskaming Native Women's Support Group. The property is part of the north half of Lot 13, Concession 2, Township of Buck, Parcel 7918 SST, and the purpose is seeking permanent use of the property for long-term planning and stability for traditional gatherings, cultural practices, and educational programming. The purpose of this public meeting is to present to council and to the public details related to the proposed disposition of land being part of the north half of Lot 13, Concession 2, Township of Buck, Parcel 7918 SST, approximately 10.03 acres. The meeting also allows the public to provide comments on the proposed disposition prior to council making a decision. I now declare this to be an open public meeting and request the clerk, Logan Blanger, to outline the details of the proposed disposition.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. For background on and property overview based on the request, in 2020, the city entered into a lease agreement with the Temiskaming Native Women's Support Group as authorized under Bylaw 2020-104, which is in effect until December 31st of this year. In 2022, the city issued 2 building permits for site development, which is a 10 by 30 gazebo, a 24 by 36 pavilion, and within those agreements were also, or within the permits were also a lunch hut for the serving of food. Ongoing discussions have been occurring with the Temiskaming Native Women's Support Group that have focused on securing permanent use of the property, supporting long-term planning and stability, and facilitating cultural practices, traditional gatherings, and educational initiatives. As described, the location is accessed from Cobalt Avenue, and the size of the parcel is approximately 10.03 acres. The preliminary description of land was noted as part of north half of Lot 13, Concession 2, Buck Township, parcel 7918 SST, and the final legal description would be confirmed by the development of a reference plan. The image identified outlines the subject property in blue. The overall parcel also shows Far Cemetery in the northeast corner, and the remaining lands are also leased for the cultivation of hay. For staff recommendation, we recommend the ending the lease agreement under 2020-104, as well as proceeding with the disposition of land to the Temiskaming Native Women Support Group, operating as keepers of the circle at a nominal cost to align with the operational efficiency and long-term planning objectives. As part of the strategic plan alignment, which supports Goal 2, which creates a unified community that supports residents and embraces cultural diversity, with the specific contribution of improving lives of Indigenous residents through land security and cultural continuity. Related strategic actions are update corporate policies to reflect Anglophone, Francophone, and Indigenous diversity, update official planned and land use documents through the inclusive community consultation. Ultimately, the recommendation directly supports immediate priorities within the city's strategic plan. For reconciliation alignment, the proposal supports the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call action number 43. We respectfully call upon federal, provincial, territorial, and municipal governments to fully adopt and implement the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples as the framework for reconciliation. Additionally, this would be an important opportunity to provide redress within the city for the disposition, as well as supports Indigenous peoples' rights to practice and revitalize the cultural traditions and their customs, including the right to maintain, protect, develop, and past, present, and future manifestations of their culture. For the disposition of land bylaw number 2015-160, section 3 of the disposal method, if approved, direct disposition to the applicant is recommended. Under section 6, public meeting notice was given via the city bulletin website as well as social media. Notice was emailed to utility companies, and no mail notices were required as there were no immediate adjoining property owners. For Section 9 exemptions, Council is requested to consider an exemption for option to dispose of the land at less than fair market value, as well as Council may waive costs including survey, legal, planning for charitable or altruistic reasons. For the subject property for land use and zoning, it's designated rural area in the city's official plan. It's also zoned within the rural zone with a hold provision. Under the zoning bylaw, the hold is used to recognize proximity to the North Cobalt Lagoon. Future development would require a zoning bylaw amendment and consultation with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks. The property currently lacks frontage on a municipally maintained road, and it is designated as an off-leash dock area under the current city's animal control bylaw. This would be for city-owned land only. For access and servicing, there are no municipal water or sanitary services available at the site, and access is provided on Cobalt Avenue, which is an unpaved municipal road. To support year-round access, upgrades would be required to the road, which would include brushing, drainage, gravel, resurfacing, turnaround construction, and winter maintenance integration. For financial considerations, the road upgrades for Cobalt Avenue is estimated at $110,000 with a $22,000 contingency, which would be covered in the proposed 2026 transportation budget. Survey costs at the time of publication of this presentation was estimated between $5,000 and $10,000. The survey quote was returned yesterday at $4,300 and would be funded through 2025 unspent funds. The following comments were received when circulated. So there were no comments received from members or no concerns noted from staff or external utility companies with the notices mailed to Hydro, Enbridge, Bell, Eastlink, and Tilbeck. For public comments summary, we did have a representative from the Snowmobile Club reach out prior to the public notice, just noting that the Larock Field is an access point for the local Snowmobile Club to reach Lake Temiskaming and Haileybury, and just wanted to assure that their request was they had continued access to the subject property, but following release of the public notice, they noted that the trail can certainly be worked around the subject lands. Hugo Rive had also submitted a letter which was attached to the presentation. Just summarizing the comment was that he expressed concern over the proposed transfer of land. It was recommended extending the current lease agreement instead of permanently severing the land due to concerns that while the land may not be needed by the municipality today, is prime waterfront property that would be important for future community development. There was also an email received following publication of this package noting that there was a concern about the area not allowing dogs to run at large and or off-leash, I should note, as well as concern for restricting public access. The next steps, which would be conditional on public input and if approved by council, would be to order a survey to define the property boundaries as well as to create a legal description of the land, which would be required for a purchase and sale agreement, followed by an administrative report recommending the purchase and sale, the adoption of the agreement through bylaw, as well as road upgrades within the 2026 municipal budget to upgrade Cobalt Avenue, complete upgrades to provide frontage on an open municipal roadway, which would be required for any future building permits to enable future development. Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation, Logan. If there are any members of the public wanting to speak to this request, please approach the podium and state your name for the public record. Are there any members of council that would like to speak to this issue? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Ducharme.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm supportive of this this project, and I also thought a lot about Mr. Rive's letter. I do also acknowledge that in the region that this particular group has done a lot of development within the region, and so the idea that by disposing of the land we're negating all future development possibilities I don't think is necessarily true, because Keepers of the Circle is in the Kirkland Lake area, for example, a prime developer. So I do think that this meets a lot of our requirements, a lot of our moral obligations under reconciliation, and I'm supportive of this project.
Thanks, Councillor Ducharme. Any other comments? Okay, I now declare that this public meeting is closed and council will give due consideration to the application. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledges the presentation regarding the potential disposition of land from the municipal clerk, and that Council authorizes staff to continue with the potential disposition of land to the Temiskaming Native Women's Support Group. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Graydon. Second by Councillor Wayland. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 7, review and adoption of council minutes. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the minutes of the City of Temiskaming Shores Council and Committee of the Whole meetings as printed. A, the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes held on August the 12th, 2025. B, the regular council meeting minutes held on August the 12th, 2025. C, the Committee of the Whole minutes held on September the 7th, 2025. And D, the special council meeting minutes held on September the 9th, 2025. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Dawson. Second by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Brings us to item 8, presentations and delegations. And 8A, we have Linda St. Cyr and Glenn Corneal from the AC-15, and they're going to give us a presentation on the pump track proposal and funding request. Welcome.
I may have to drink a couple times. Your Worship and members of Council, my name is Linda St. Cyr, and I am joined by Glenn Cornell. We are here tonight on behalf of the AC15 group. For those who may not know, AC15 is a fundraising group created in memory of Alexa Cornell, daughter of Glenn and Paul, who passed away in 2017. Our mission is to honor her legacy as a talented athlete, loyal friend, and compassionate leader by supporting initiatives that reflect the values and causes that would have mattered most to her. Since 2018, the AC15 group has worked hard through our annual fundraising event, not only to host the best women hockey tournament in Ontario, which has more than doubled in number of teams since we started, but also to give back to the community. To date, we have raised just over $100,000. Our financial commitments include the Alexa Cornell Change Room number 15 at the Shelley Herbert Shea Memorial Arena in Hillsbury, as well as recent renovation at Shaver Park in North Cobalt. Looking ahead, our vision for 2027 is to bring a pump track to New Liskeard. For those less familiar, a pump track is a looping paved path with gentle hills and bank turns. It can be enjoyed on bike, scooters, skateboards, even wheelchairs and strollers. Instead of pedaling, riders use their body movement to keep moving, making it fun, safe, and accessible activity for people of all ages. Let's watch.
We also really wanted to have the space feel inclusive for everybody too. There's an opportunity here for families who have kids on bikes and kids in chairs to all share the same play space and have a really good time together, and I think that's pretty unique.
I am from here in Port Angeles, Washington, and I was injured in 2008 riding a bicycle down from my campus at UC Santa Cruz. In the past 7 years, I've started a nonprofit that's all about creating a more accessible outdoors. And what we're doing here today is a great example of some outdoor recreation that can be built around people with different abilities.
I'm here with my family and my oldest daughter, Selena, today. We had a beautiful little girl born into our family 3 years ago, and she had an incredible amount of genetic disability. We're still learning about it. What today means for us is that we can come out here as a family and do something really special where Amaya is joining us. She's in a trailer, we're pulling her around, and the rest of the family can be doing something as well. It's a special thing to be able to do something all inclusive. Someone that is not able to walk or feed herself really is an iron.
A pump track would bring many benefits to our community. It encourages active living, getting kids, teens, and adults outdoors and moving. It is inclusive, welcoming everyone from toddlers on balance bike to experienced riders of all abilities. It also has the potential to boost tourism and support local businesses, as pump tracks often attract visitors from neighboring towns. Most importantly, it fosters community pride, a gathering space built by and for residents where people can connect and enjoy recreation together. We are confident this project aligns seamlessly with the Temiskaming Shores Recreation Master Plan, which is designed to guide recreation, services, programs, and facilities over the next decade, with a focus on community well-being, inclusivity, accessibility, and active living. It also supports the Master Plan's key goals by fostering social connection, encouraging healthy habits, and strengthening the local recreation network. In addition, this project complements the active transportation plan. Furthermore, there are a few indicators showing that pump tracks are becoming more common in value. More pump tracks are being built all throughout Canada. The Canada Community Building Fund has contributed to pump track infrastructure in several locations across Canada, and local government and community leagues are engaging in public consultations and funding campaigns. Our community is facing real challenges: rising costs, economic strain, and increasing social needs. This is why projects like the pump track matters, as it will offer low barrier access. This is more than recreation. It is an investment in resilience, health, and connection. Even in difficult times, the pump track shows that what we can achieve when we come together to build hope, wellness, and lasting value to our community. It would be our preference to work with Canadian Ramp Company to build our pump track. They are a trusted Canadian company with experience in 44 countries, a canoe-approved supplier, and a team known for creating custom design tailored to each project. A project of this scale carries a significant price tag, approximately $500,000. But here's the exciting part. We've already secured a large majority of the funds needed. Through our past and future annual fundraising event and generous sponsorships and donations to AC15, and more recent major commitments like the $65,000 from the South Temiskaming Active Travel Organization, as well as $200,000 from the Frog's Breath Foundation, we have raised an impressive $405,000 towards our $500,000 goal. And the momentum continues. In just 3 weeks, we will present to another key partner, North on Tap, with the potential to contribute another large amount. Tonight, we respectfully ask Council to help close the final $50,000 gap over the next 2 years. With your support, construction can begin in the summer of 2027, and just 5 weeks later, we will deliver a project that showcases both the dedication of our residents and Council's commitment to meaningful, community-driven initiatives. Along with financial support, we are requesting approval to use the property at the corner of Beach Boulevard and White Avenue. After exploring several options, this location stood out as ideal for the AC15 pump track. It offers the space we need, safe access and parking, adjacency to the skateboard park for added versatility, a direct connection to the Stato Trail for accessibility, and a natural extension to the existing park area. We recognize this isn't the usual path. Typically, groups seek permission first, and if the project is approved, the group will begin fundraising. Because one thing led to another, we were forced to take a different approach by securing the majority of the funding up front. Now we come to you with a unique opportunity to help us cross the finish line with a modest contribution and your approval of our preferred location. So I will leave you with this thought. How often does a group come before Council not asking you to carry the full burden, but instead bringing over $400,000 already secured and committed to the projects? This is not just an idea or a dream. We've proven our dedication. Major partners have rallied behind it, and the funding is already on the table. All we need now is your support to turn that commitment into reality. In closing, we respectfully ask for the city's support and blessing to move forward with building this pump track. With your support, we can transform this vision into a lasting, meaningful space that inspires activity, connection, and pride for generations to come. This is more than just a track. It is a symbol of what we can achieve when a community comes together with determination, creativity, and heart. On behalf of AC15, thank you for your time, consideration, and your ongoing support of initiatives that strengthen our city. We look forward to working with you, potentially, to bring the AC15 pump track to life in 2027 and to celebrate together as it becomes a new cornerstone of recreation in Temiskaming Shores. Thank you.
Maybe I'll just say a quick hi. I was here as the extra voice, but Linda did great. As you know, AC15 is this, it's evolved to this amazing hockey tournament that supports hockey, women's hockey, CPR, AED, and life-saving training, as well as fundraising for initiatives that excite the committee and can be a win-win for the community. So once we heard that pump track is the second fastest growing sport other than pickleball in all of the province of the country, we were looking for our next project, and this one just really fit as Linda's presented. So we have a wonderful working relationship with Matt and the Recreation Committee and Council with the other projects. So we thank you for your time tonight, and we look forward to your support.
Thanks for your presentation tonight, Linda. I'm glad Glenn finally said something. I was getting worried that he was just arm candy there tonight. But does anybody have any questions for Linda or Glenn? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, not a question specifically, but congratulations. I was just in the meeting, and every paragraph was an extra $10,000 asked from the municipality. You know, we have a lot of things we have to consider, but it's really refreshing to see you're so committed and come forward with most of your funding already in place. So I think it's a great initiative. I won't participate. My idea of recreation, mowing my grass. So, but congratulations. It's really fantastic idea.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments or questions? Okay, just a second. Councillor Wilson, and then it'll be Councillor Dawson. Councillor Wilson, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Glenn and Linda, for the presentation. It was excellent. I just want to echo Councillor Whalen's comments. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Dawson?
Yes, again, thank you for the presentation. I know from watching council for many years, we get a lot of great ideas, and this is definitely a great idea that's being presented, and it's nice to see you got most of the funding. My concern is there any plan by the AC15 group to provide annual funding to help with the maintenance, or is that going to be our job to cover the maintenance?
The pump track that we were looking at doing, there's two different ones. There's a modular, more plasticky that requires a lot of maintenance and moving around. The pump track we're looking at building is some kind of asphalt, and there's very little maintenance to it. We have opportunity to either put normal grass in some of the centers or around, or artificial grass, and we can discuss all that as well. So that would require even less maintenance if we do that. But the track itself has very little maintenance.
Maybe I'll just add, Dan, this is also similar to what we've done with the Shaver Park work that we've done together. So, and just a reminder, we'll look forward to seeing everybody next week with that grand reopening. Is as we've done with the dressing room as well. Is our initiative is to bring most of the funding, but then the park will be owned and maintained by the city over time. But the design we're looking at does not have a lot of maintenance. But yes, this will be a project that will then be taken over and owned by the city.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and Councillor Pelletier-Levin.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn and Linda, for a great presentation and all what you bring to the community through AC15. Your dynamism is very, commendable. I had a question related to the location that you've picked, or your three are all sort of in the, near the skate park. And I wanted to ask if you had considered, if that proximity, you've stated it as an advantage. If you wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and also whether you considered like a more southern location, considered like the geographic geography of our community, like to, perhaps if it was in a southern area, it would increase access to different users, that rather than having all those types of amenities in the same location. I don't know if I'm asking my question clearly, but I just wondered what kind of discussions were had around that.
Yeah. Thank you, Nadia. We have discussed several other possibilities, one of them being behind Far Park, which we thought was too far, not big enough. We also considered behind Murray Daniel Park in North Cobalt. We also felt it was not seen, not as easily accessible. Having it in New Liskeard, near the skateboard park, being right off of the Saddle Trail, very, very close to skateboard park. And this is a question I asked Canadian Pump Track when we met with them. Is it, in your experience, is it a deterrent to build near the skateboard park? Or should we build elsewhere? And he said, 9 times out of 10, we want to build near a park or near a skateboard park so that it's all together and it gathers people to use both. And what we would like to do is build an extension of the Saddle Trail between the skateboard park and the pump track. We also need the space, and the space at the corner of Beach Boulevard and White Avenue had the biggest space for us to use. If you look at other property behind the tennis court and right next to the skateboard park, we did not feel was big enough for us to build what we would like to do for the kind of money that we were able to raise. I mean, we could fit it anywhere for $200,000 and have just a circular loop, but that is not what we wanted. We wanted multiple loops. We would like to have a beginner track attached to it. We would like it to be so inclusive that people feel confident. The beginner track would have smaller bumps. The bigger track would, the kids could practice on it. This is the largest area. It is central. Kids and families from Diamond can hop on the Saddle Trail. They can come from Hellebury. They can come from anywhere. It's very central. It is seen. People drive on the highway. We see it. It's near the park. It's near the water. It's near the skateboard park. For all of the above reasons, we felt that property would be better for us. Hope that answers your question, Nat.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor Temiskaming.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
$5.
Thank you for explaining your rationale, though. That helps. I also wanted to know if you're projecting the building for 2027, and I'm just wondering, aside from the fundraising, are there other steps that you need to take that will take that year and a half, or could you be ready to start earlier if it wasn't for the fundraising?
It's only the fundraising because we have accumulated the Frogs Bet money, the AC50 money we already have, plus the Stato money, that's $300,000. But we have also committed to raising another $50,000 per year for each of our events, like in 2026 and 2027, as well as Frogs Bet has also committed the $100,000 in 2026 and $100,000 in 2027 because of our needs, our time to raise the remaining $100,000. And we know last year we were able to raise $40,000 without a project. So we went out to the community for sponsorship and we ended up making $41,000 above running the tournament itself. So we think that with an idea such as the pump park, that we can definitely raise at least $50,000. There's no doubt in my mind. So we need 2 years to do that. And that's the reason why Frogs Breath has matched that timeline.
I'll just maybe add to, in discussions with the company, they also have a timeline that they use as well with respect to meetings and community engagements, assessment of the site, etc. So we expect that to all take place in 2026 to move forward in 2027 with the bills.
Thank you. Councillor Graydon.
Thanks, Mayor. waited long enough. All my questions that I had got answered. But I wanted to say thank you for the presentation and for your commitment to the community and everything that you do. I specifically thought about the geographic location too, but I appreciate that the visibility of it there, because I think we all drive by there and see the same thing all the time, and we see the families that are there, and it's great that it's so visible. And I love the connection to the Stato. I think that's wonderful. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other comments? And I'll just make a final comment. And thanks for your presentation. Thanks for your partnership with the city, to this date, and looking forward to growing that as we move forward. My concern is around the replacement value. How long that's going to last, and just making sure. So, we'll get input from our leadership team with the location as well as your request, and you'll be hearing back from us in the not so distant future.
Appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
everybody. Okay, this takes us to item B, and we have Annick Boucher, President, and continuing on with the Corneal Family Night, we got Patrick Corneal, Vice President of ACFO Temiskaming, and they're going to give us a presentation on recommendations to support our strategic plan initiatives. So Annick and Patrick, it's all yours.
Bonsoir, Monsieur le maire, Mesdames et Messieurs du Conseil. Je m'appelle Annick Boucher, je suis la présidente de l'ACFO-Temiskaming et je suis avec mon collègue Patrick Corneal, vice-président de l'ACFO-Temiskaming. Nous sommes ici ce soir pour discuter de la priorité numéro 3 de votre planification stratégique qui vise à revoir les politiques et le fonctionnement pour mieux inclure les communautés anglophones, francophones et autochtones. Nous sommes très heureux de voir cette priorité dans votre planification stratégique. C'est un pas important pour la Ville. Depuis toujours, les francophones organisent plusieurs activités dans la communauté, et ce, pour les résidents francophones et anglophones. Et le fait d'inclure une priorité, comme celle-ci dans votre plan, nous indique que vous valorisez notre contribution à l'essor de la Ville. En préparation à cette rencontre de ce soir, nous avons consulté une 50aine de membres de la communauté francophone. Nous avons recueilli leurs suggestions et ce soir, nous vous présentons un résumé dans le feuillet que vous avez devant vous de ces suggestions-là. À ce moment-ci, je vais passer la parole à mon collègue Patrick qui va vous présenter le contenu.
Thank you, Annick. As Annick mentioned, the Francophone community is eager to work together with the city to advance priority number 3 of the strategic plan. The document you have in front of you, as she mentioned, prepared from a consultation with our members, Francophone members of the community, outlines 3 areas for action. First, human resources and key positions to ensure the provision of bilingual municipal services and strengthen the representation of the Francophone community. We are proposing 3 actions: appointing dedicated staff within the city administration to address French language matters, ensuring the presence of bilingual staff in all municipal offices, and requiring bilingualism as a prerequisite for select key municipal positions. Secondly, bilingual communication and signage to make sure that communications are accessible and fair for the Francophone community. We recommend that the city provide high-quality translations of all communications of importance to the community, ensure that all advertisements are issued in both official languages, and develop and adopt a formal bilingualism policy for the municipality. Third, in terms of economic development and tourism, we believe it's important to recognize the economic contribution of Francophone community and to attract Francophone visitors. To do so, we suggest the city integrates bilingualism into employment and immigration initiatives, positions the municipality as a welcoming destination for Francophones in both economic and tourism development contexts, and developing targeted initiatives to support and grow Francophone Francophone tourism. To achieve these goals, our main recommendation is fairly simple, that the city create an ad hoc committee with members from our Francophone community. This committee could provide valuable support in drafting the new policies and ensuring a smooth implementation. Thank you, and I'll pass it back to Annick to conclude.
Merci, Patrick. Donc, en terminant, on tient à souligner que cette initiative se veut un partenariat, une collaboration. On veut collaborer avec vous. On souhaite proposer un mécanisme d'échange continu pour que les francophones se sentent non seulement représentés, mais aussi pleinement intégrés. Le feuillet d'une page que nous vous avons présenté ce soir est un excellent point de départ. Par contre, en complément, nous avons préparé un document plus étoffé qui a 7 pages où ces stratégies-là sont détaillées davantage pour appuyer la Ville et le comité ad hoc si un comité est mis sur pied pour aider la Ville à justement mettre en place ces stratégies. Ce document va être envoyé à Mme Bélanger et va vous être partagé demain matin. Nous vous remercions de votre temps et de votre ouverture. Nous sommes impatients de travailler avec vous pour faire de Temiskaming Shores une ville encore plus inclusive et dynamique. Merci. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your presentation, Annick and Patrick. Does anybody have any questions? Councillor Peltier-Living.
Not so much a question, more of a comment. Donc, merci beaucoup, Annick et Patrick, de cette présentation au Conseil aujourd'hui. Et puis aussi, merci de votre leadership avec cette initiative-là, avec la consultation de la communauté. Donc, j'ai eu le plaisir de participer avec M. le maire et d'autres personnes du staff. Et puis, on voyait beaucoup d'engagement de la part des participants. Donc, c'est vraiment grâce à vous là, qu'on peut aller de l'avant avec vos recommandations. So I just wanted to thank ACFO for their leadership with this. There was lots of engagement with the Francophone community. I had the pleasure to attend the session with the mayor and some staff, and it's really a great leadership to be proactive with these recommendations. I look forward to seeing the next steps. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks, Councillor Peltier. Living, any other questions, comments? I just wanted to say thank you so much for not only taking the time, in participating and then having the engagement in our strategic plan initiatives, but also taking it one step further and bringing the Francophone community together and inviting us to participate in that process and really making sure that we're focusing on improving our community as we go forward. And, the strength is working together. So I appreciate you taking the time and the effort. We will go through the recommendations that are in here. And again, we'll get input from the staff and we'll be back, with you in the not so distant future with, what we can do to support this going forward. Thank you so much.
Merci.
Thank you. You're welcome. This brings us to item C. We have Matt Kennedy, the Director of Skyline Energy, and Chantel Gubert, the Development Manager for Blue Circle Energy, and the three-year proposal for a battery energy storage system, the project in Temiskaming Shores. So Matt, Chantel, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and members of Temiskaming Shores for having us. Next slide, please. Quickly, I'd like to take you through the agenda. We're just going to introduce ourselves, who's up here today before you, quickly review what it is, the technology that we're proposing and the site itself, getting into some of the project details, and then our project timelines. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm joined by Matt Kennedy. I'll pass the mic off to him.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me today. My name is Matt Kennedy. I'm Director of Skyline Energy. Skyline Energy is the asset manager for the Skyline Clean Energy Fund. We are the developer, operator, and asset manager for that group. The Skyline Clean Energy Fund is a investment fund made up of retail investors, just like everyone sitting in the room today. We currently own 84 solar assets across the province. as well as 2 biogas facilities that are aimed at processing municipal waste, organics, and food processing waste to create clean and sustainable electricity and renewable natural gas. It's a 100% Canadian portfolio. We're based out of Guelph, Ontario, and part of the greater group, the Skyline Group of companies. The Skyline Group of companies is currently has about $9 billion of assets under management across Canada. We provide homes to over 20,000 Canadians through our apartment REIT. We provide grocery stores and pharmacy anchored retail plazas, mainly focused in secondary and tertiary markets. We actually had a apartment building here in Haileybury for a number of years. We disposed of it last year, but we're involved in many of these secondary and tertiary communities. As part of Skyline's initiative was to make investments in this sector, infrastructure, real estate, commercial real estate, available to everybody. Historically, those are reserved for high net worth individuals that could buy these on their own, and the mandate at Skyline is to provide access to those investments through smaller investments into those projects. So we currently represent over 6,500 investors across Canada to date. The Skyline Group of companies is based out of Guelph, Ontario. It's not a publicly traded entity. This is a private entity that has been around for more than 25 years and had a strong track record of providing returns to our unit holders. We currently employ over 1,000 people across the country as well.
Okay, next slide. And as I said, I'm Chantal Gubert. I'm Development Manager at Blue Circle Energy. We are a renewable energy development firm aimed at providing the deep knowledge and expertise that is required to get these kinds of projects up off the ground. Our expertise is in solar and storage. We've worked in the Caribbean, the US, and Canada. We're based in Canada as well. So together we're a completely Canadian team. Next slide. And so getting into things here, just giving some background on what it is we're talking about. At any time, the grid needs to produce and consume the exact right amount of energy. What happens in Ontario is at night we produce more energy than we need due to low consumption and high production through hydro and nuclear. And what ends up happening is that we either sell that energy or we're not needing it at that time. And what batteries do is that they purchase that energy when the prices are low, and they store it for later to sell when the grid actually needs it, and ultimately they can do so ideally at lower prices than we would have if we were running gas plants or other things that are more costly but need to be run when demand is high during the day. And the purpose of this is to smooth out power production and consumption to stabilize the grid, but ultimately to reduce costs for Ontarians for power. Next slide. And the reason that we need to do this right now is because Ontario is facing a huge growth in energy consumption in the next 25 years. The ISO anticipates that energy growth will increase by 75%. That's about adding 4 to 5 Torontos to the grid. And so to do this, we need to build additional power plants. That includes power plants of all kinds. And then those power plants ideally also need to be stabilized through, again, storage, such as the battery facility that we are presenting today. ISO is currently seeking proposals from development firms to procure capacity. That includes batteries. This RFP is due December 18th, 2025, and that's what we're looking to submit into this year. Next slide. So the project itself we're proposing is called Diamond Bess. It is going to be located on, Highway 65. We were just out there today. I just shook the burrs out of my pants not too long ago. Sorry, you can go to the previous slide. And this facility is going to be 30 megawatts with an 8-hour duration. So that is going to be able to provide 240 hours of megawatt hours of power. It would be directly connected to the 115 kilovolt hydro line. You can actually see the transformer station in the photo there, so we would be connecting directly to the grid. The site size would be about 4 acres and would consist of 56 20-foot shipping containers. That's what these facilities are. It's essentially a shipping container with a battery inside of it and any associated transformer equipment that would be needed to connect it into the grid. Next slide. So what we're proposing here is a 20-year lease with the property owner. ISO is requesting 20-year projects. Currently, it's zoned as A1, H3, I think due to the waste facility that's just northeast of the property. It's a cleared and level lot right now that's greater than 250 meters from the nearest residence. Not only that, though, we were there today, as I said, we would be ideally planning to either put it where you can see on the map here or actually slightly northeast of that with berms between the plant, and there's 3 houses on the highway there to ensure that this would not be visible or audible from the nearby residences. Next slide. So why are we looking to do this in Temiskaming? Well, we can procure locally here. We would be working with local suppliers wherever possible for construction, for civil work, and any materials needed to build the concrete pad that the facility would be on, or any roads that would need to be created. Additionally, the community investment that we're proposing is $1,000 for every megawatt every year for 20 years. This would be contributed directly to Temiskaming Shores. And in addition to this, as I said, Ontario needs this capacity. We need this balancing of our grid to ensure there's no brownouts, there's no energy surges, and this could be Temiskaming Shores' opportunity to present leadership in this and ensuring stable and affordable energy for all Ontarians. Additionally, this type of technology is quite safe. I'll get into this in a moment. There's very little impact on nearby residents or the environment. And actually, next slide. I want to get into a little bit about what this technology is. It's called lithium iron phosphate. It's different than the types of batteries that are in your cell phones or computers. Those are nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries. Those are lighter, but they're a little less stable. The reason we're using LFP batteries for this project is that while being heavier, so not suitable for phones or computers, they're ultimately safer. To throw some stats at this, for every 1,000,000 hours of operation, a gas station has 4 hours. For every 1,000,000 hours of operation, an NMC phone battery storage, they will have 0.8 fires, and for every 1,000,000 hours, LFP will have 0.02 fires. So roughly 200 times fewer fires for every operational hour than a gas station. We're also trying to procure local where we can for these facilities. So our front runner is Canadian Solar. They're a Canadian solar and battery storage manufacturer. They are headquartered in Guelph, Ontario, as is Skyline Energy. While their batteries are produced in China, that is the same for all battery manufacturers globally. There's no local production facilities yet, but we would still be choosing a local company who's headquartered in Ontario. Next slide. As for fire safety, as I said, these are far more safe for every operational hour than many things that are around us. But in the case that there is a fire, we are following the appropriate safety protocols using NFPA 855 and UL 9540A testing protocols. Those essentially say, okay, if a fire happens, how big does it get? And then therefore, how far apart do these storage containers need to be spaced so that if there's a fire within one container, it does not spread to the others. Additionally, these will be monitored remotely and have remote fire suppression systems. So also, if there is a fire within a container, that fire suppression system can be activated remotely. We will also be using ESRG. They're a New York State firefighter-led battery storage firefighting consultancy. They would actually be assisting with developing the fire safety plan for the facility and training any local firefighters for that. Next slide.
So to get into some of the operations and maintenance and development teams we'd be using, although Skyline Energy currently does not have any battery energy storage projects in our portfolio, Anvil Crawler Development Corp., which is also part of Skyline Group of Companies, has extensive experience both developing and operating battery energy storage facilities. They've recently completed a 5 megawatt battery energy storage system that was commissioned just a couple of weeks ago. In addition to that, they worked closely with the Toronto Transit Commission to build the first first ever bus charging station, so battery charging station there that can charge the electric bus fleet they have in Toronto. In addition to that, they do service a microgrid battery project that Skyline owns as part of one of our hotel chains. We've worked with Anvil Crawler Development Corp for nearly 10 years on the solar portfolio that we currently own. They're a skilled renewable energy developer based out of Fergus, Ontario, that has over 20 electricians on staff and extensive experience in working with renewable energy. Skyline Energy does plan to be the long-term owner and operator of this, but use key subcontractors, local electricians to help support that as well through the ongoing operation of this for years to come.
Thank you. Next slide. All right, so what we've done to date, a lot of desktop analysis related to any land use, any areas of sensitivity, any setbacks that are required from the nearby rail line, as well as the nearby hydro wires, and as well as we've done some preliminary noise analysis. We'll be following the NPC 300 rural noise standards, which means that at any nearby bedroom window, there needs to be fewer than 40 decibels of noise. That's about the sound of a library. We aim to be well below that. And just for context, the sound that you hear is the air conditioners that are on site. They keep the cells cool, so it's essentially the sound of an HVAC system. And as I said, we'll be using those NFPA fire standards as well in our site design. Next slide. So the project timeline, that's not very easy to read, but we're in the very early stages at the top. Thank you. Presenting before council today, our next steps would be to host a community meeting, a bilingual community meeting in early October, and then ultimately present the results to council in November, seeking a municipal support resolution. If that is passed, we would then bring forth our proposal to ISO for the bid submission in December 2025, and if we win, would be notified mid-2026, at which point we would begin the consultative design process and actually developing the site heading into construction in 2027, and ideally project completion by 2028. Thank you for that. Next slide. That is it. We're happy to answer any questions that councillors or mayor have.
Great. Thanks for your presentation, Matt and Chantal. Does anybody have any questions from that? Councillor Whelan?
Thanks for the presentation. I'm just wondering, you say, I don't understand the difference between the types of batteries and that, but you say you're going to train the fire department on their needs. If there's specialized equipment required, are you going to supply that?
So the majority of the equipment required for the fire containment will be within the containers themselves. So there would be either a gel or aerosol fire suppression system within those containers, and any thermal events, any heat signatures would actually be recognized by the remote monitoring system, and then those fire suppression systems would be activated in the case of a fire. So ultimately there's not specialized equipment that the fire department will need. It will be within those
It's
cells.
already on site then?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Dawson?
Actually, I have a couple of questions. I want to thank you for your presentation. First question is, and maybe it was in there and I didn't understand it, but where is the power going to come that's going to go into these batteries?
So as it's interconnected to the grid, it is able to store power at times when the price of power essentially is conducive to storing. We wouldn't try to buy power in the middle of the day in a heat wave, but at night, again, when power prices are low and when the ISO essentially says that there is excess capacity, or sorry, excess production, that's when we would store the energy in the batteries and then ultimately plan to sell it the day following in the case that it's needed.
Okay, and my second question, and it wasn't covered in here, is these batteries, what's the projected lifespan of them, and where does it go after that it's decommissioned, or is there a decommissioning? And even if there is a fire at one of these, you're talking gels and all this, how are we supposed to dispose, or how will disposal of these chemicals and stuff take place?
Yeah, excellent question. So first, there's technically no end of life for the battery. They do continue to operate after 20 years. They just continue to degrade. So just like with your cell phone, it notifies you, you have 80% of your life in your battery. That's the same thing here. The contract with ISO is 20 years. There could potentially be the possibility to extend it afterwards. That is a bridge that Skyline would be crossing at that time. But ISO does require that you need to have funds in place to ensure that there's a safe decommissioning, regardless of the status of Skyline Energy. There would actually need to be funds there to ensure that the site could be decommissioned, that the batteries could be recycled, and that the site could be restored to its original state at the end. So that's something that ISO ensures all developers are doing. Then to your point of in the case of the fire, if there are any spills, so essentially what ends up happening, I maybe misspoke, there is potential specialty equipment that needs to come in, but there are pads that can be placed to capture essentially any of the gel and soak it up to ensure that it's not going into the soil. Luckily with this battery technology, there's not any heavy metals in the batteries. In the case of, again, the NMC batteries, there's no cobalt. There's no contaminants that would be of high risk, and I believe the majority of the contaminants actually bond to the soil, so they don't tend to leach down into the water. It would be on the top level of the soil, but ideally even that gel would be captured. Again, this sort of planning would be done in the actual development phase, so we're in very early stages here, but that would be done definitely in conjunction with the fire department.
Any other questions? Councillor Peltier-Living.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Maybe you've mentioned it, I missed it. Are there other storage facilities like that in Ontario already?
Yes, there are. There's a number of smaller facilities that have come online. A notable project that's come online that I believe is actually over 100 megawatts is the Oneida facility that opened in May. So this is a newer technology as it relates to energy in the world, but it's not a first for Ontario for sure. Ontario is definitely starting to build plants that are much larger than the one that we're proposing today, but there are a number of facilities already open, as well as this is actually something that many homeowners have on their homes today. For anybody who maybe lives off grid and has solar on their property, they can only use the solar power when the sun is shining, and so many homeowners actually have smaller versions of this in their basements.
Thank you. Councillor Ducharme.
Thank you for your presentation today. If there was like a homeowner, not off the grid, but just a homeowner, what's kind of the value of putting something like this in the community to them? Like, I can understand the economics of buying energy cheap and selling it when it's in demand. What's the value to just the individual homeowners in our community in terms of their energy usage or costs or something like that?
Absolutely. So ensuring that energy costs stay low is a complex and long-term planning item. In order to ensure that costs stay low in the long term, it requires a lot of planning in advance. And so from a cost perspective, what this is doing is ensuring that we're not needing to turn on those gas plants, which are far more expensive per kilowatt hour than energy from a nuclear plant or from a hydroelectric facility. And so ensuring that, again, we can capture energy when it's not being used, when costs are extremely low, and sell it back when costs are below those of gas facilities. That is where the savings would be recognized by any Ontarian who's in the grid. So it would be folks in Temiskaming Shores, but it would be folks anywhere in Ontario, as costs are, levelized throughout the province. There's also, as I said, the community benefit. So right now we're proposing, thank you for bringing up the slide, $1,000 per megawatt per year for 20 years. And so for a project of this size, you're looking at $30,000 directly to the city of Temiskaming Shores for 20 years.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any last questions? Seeing none, thanks again for your presentation. As you identified, it's early on. You're going to do some community consultations, and you'll be coming back in November, so looking forward to the next presentation. Thanks
Looking
again.
forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Brings us to item 9, correspondence and communication. So 9A, from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, read the proposed updates to the projection methodology guideline to support implementation of provincial policy statements, and that's received for information. B, from One Light Diversity Center, the concise summary for access to services, January to August 2024, that was received for information. 9C, Northeastern Public Health, read their community merger update for September 2025. That was received for information. D, from the Township of Larder Lake, the resolution of support requesting a moratorium on aerial spraying of glyphosate in the Temiskaming Forest. That was received for information. Item E, from the Township of Larder Lake, the request for extension of certification deadlines under Ontario Regulation 343-22. That's the mandatory minimum certification standards for firefighters in Ontario. That was received for information. Item F, from the Township of Harley, their position on wind turbine development. That was received for information. And I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to deal with communication items 9A through 9F in accordance with the agenda of references. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Graydon, second by Councillor Wayland. Discussion? Councillor Peltier-Living.
Thank you. If we could bring back item D from the Township of Larder Lake. I'm not sure if the timeline permits, but just to see if we can have a discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 10, Committees of Council, Community and Regional. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that the minutes from the various community and regional committees of council be accepted for information. A, the New Liskeard Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting minutes held from August the 11th, 2025, and B, the New Liskeard Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting minutes held on September the 8th, 2025. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Seconded by Councillor Graydon. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item 11, reports by member of council. And we'll start with Councillor Whalen from the 2025 AMO conference report. Councillor Whalen.
I did include it in the package, so anybody that wants to question anything on it, gladly try and answer. One thing I didn't add in the report, and when we go away to conferences like this, it's always nice to say, oh, I spoke with this minister, I spoke with that minister, but I enjoy speaking with the minister's staff. They're the ones that do the work. And it came to light in our last committee of the whole meeting when Matt gave his recreation report, the final page, and there was several lines that said funding approved, funding approved, funding approved. When I speak with ministry staff, the one thing I do hear about the city is when we submit an application, they're always complete, they're professional. So I just wanted to share that with staff, that it doesn't go unnoticed, your efforts. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you, staff.
Thanks, Councillor Whalen. And then I'll turn it over to Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just a number of points. My report is not in the package. I apologize. It was late, but it'll be in the minutes. I just wanted to highlight a few sessions that I attended at the conference, and one was an early session on the Saturday, and it was looking at social polarization and extremism in Ontario municipalities, and it was a very fascinating session where there were a lot of municipal representatives who shared stories of difficult situations in their municipalities around just disrespectful behavior within their municipalities, and it was kind of eye-opening to to be honest. And I, I just want to, what it showed me was that we're very fortunate to have such a great team here at the City of Temiskaming Shores, and we can all work together very respectfully, and staff and council, and I really appreciate that. So it was a very, very interesting session from that perspective. And I did share actually information about our zone policy in that presentation or in that workshop. Also, just wanted to touch a bit on AMO's Indigenous Reconciliation Action Plan. They've been working at that quite diligently, and it's really an important part of our municipal sector is action plans around the Indigenous community. So that was a very, very interesting session as well. And also an interesting session on integrating housing and health supports. And there were representatives from the city of Burlington, Ottawa, and Sudbury talking about housing and homelessness. And I was able to speak with the representative, Tyler Campbell from the city of Sudbury, after the session. He told me that Sudbury had made some really key investments in deeply affordable housing that led to more funding from the province after they had made the initial investments, and they've been working very hard at that piece as well. There's also a great session on trades and tariffs and all the challenges the communities are facing, and that we really have to start to look at being more resilient in our economic future. And there were some excellent discussions around ways that we can do that. And just lastly, I wanted to mention our delegations. We had a delegation on the POA, provincial offenses. That's the fourth one I've attended, and I was honored to be there with Mayor LaFerriere, Deputy Mayor Whalen, Councillor Dawson, and Sandra Lee. And it's one that's been a very, very difficult file, I guess, so to speak, because we are making some progress, but it is slowly, it is slow progress. But I think they're hearing us, and that's the importance of delegations. And I think I think we need the residents of Temiskaming Shores need to understand that these delegations are very important. We work really hard at trying to do a good job of these delegations, and I really wanted to highlight the staff who prepare these delegations. They're so well prepared, and we're well prepared as councillors. So I really wanted to thank staff for their excellent work preparing all of our delegations. The last two delegations we had were one with the Minister of Northern Development and Growth, George Perry, where we had a good discussion about the city of Temiskaming Shores and its economic future. And we also had a delegation with the Minister of Infrastructure, Kinga Surma, and we were highlighting our asset management plan, and they were impressed with our asset management plan. And again, that's credit to all the staff who put so much work into that very, very important document. So that's my summary report. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Anybody else? No, seeing none. Thank you. This brings us to new business. I stand corrected. This takes us to item 12, notice of motions. Is there any notice of motions tonight? Seeing none. Moves us on to item 13, new business, 13A, from the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, a resolution of support for softwood lumber dispute threatens Northeastern Ontario's forest sector. I do have a resolution in front of me. Whereas the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, representing 110 municipalities in northeastern Ontario, has expressed concern over the announcement by the U.S. Department of Commerce issued on April the 4th, 2025, which proposes a preliminary combined countervailing and anti-dumping duty rate of 34.45% on Canadian softwood lumber, more than double the current rate. And whereas this rate would severely impact the forest sector, which is vital to the economic health and stability of many Northern Ontario communities. And whereas the forest industry supports thousands of direct and indirect jobs and is a key contributor to local tax bases and regional development. And whereas Canadian producers have faced ongoing unfair duties since the expiration of the softwood lumber agreement in 2016, resulting in over $10 billion in losses and continued economic uncertainty. Be it resolved, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores supports Phenom's letter dated June the 30th, 2025, addressed to Prime Minister Mark Carney and Premier Doug Ford, urging, 1, immediate prioritization of the softwood lumber dispute in bilateral trade discussions, 2, development and implementation of support measures for impacted workers, municipalities, and the forest sector, and number 3, public acknowledgement of the urgency of this issue and a coordinated response from both levels of government. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister, the Honourable Doug Ford, Ontario Premier, the Honourable Pauline Rushford, the MP for Nipissing-Temiskaming, John Vantoff, MPP Temiskaming Cochrane, and the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities for their consideration. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Graydon, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item B, Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, Resolution of Support, making the Northern Ontario Resource Development Support Pilot Program permanent and expanding program eligibility. I do have a resolution in front of me. Whereas the Northern Ontario Resource Development Support Pilot Program was introduced to help Northern Ontario municipalities address infrastructure pressures resulting from natural resource sector activities. And whereas the funding provided through the NORDS pilot was very well received by the municipal sector, as it delivered timely and much-needed financial support to many communities across the north. And whereas the program has allowed municipalities, such as the City of North Bay, to strategically stack multi-year allocations to support large-scale infrastructure initiatives critical to community development and economic growth. And whereas the NORDS pilot program has clearly demonstrated its value and effectiveness in helping northern municipalities address the infrastructure challenges tied to resource development and extraction. And whereas rural and northern municipalities are also facing infrastructure degradation resulting from the increasing size and frequency of agricultural machinery and activity, which is currently outside the scope of the pilot. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores strongly urges the Government of Ontario to make the Northern Ontario Resource Development Support Program a permanent fixture of its support to northern municipalities, and that the province consider expanding program eligibility to recognize the significant impact that agricultural equipment and operations have on municipal infrastructure, particularly in rural communities. And further, that municipalities be encouraged to continue utilizing the ability to stack NORDS allocation over multiple years to support the planning and delivery of major infrastructure projects. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Minister of Northern Economic Development and Growth, the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness, the Minister of Infrastructure, the Minister of Natural Resources, local MP, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association, and the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities for their awareness and support. Can I get a mover, please? This is Councillor Dawson. Seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? Councillor Whalen.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, I've had, probably half a dozen meetings in the last 3 or 4 months with Minister Peary and staff regarding the NORDS funding. It's a 5-year pilot project which is coming to an end. So they wanted to know, number one, was it a successful program, and what changes would we like to see within the program? As we're all aware, agriculture is becoming large part corporate farming, where they bring in massive equipment that run up and down our side roads and have major impacts. So that's why we mention agriculture crops becoming a resource in the resource list. As well, every municipality currently gets an allocation. So some municipalities say, well, it's not enough. Well, the intent of the Nord's program was never meant to be a funding program. It was an assistance program. So what we're asking the minister to do is to maintain the current allocation, which our case is 225,000 plus or minus a little bit every year, plus to have a second portion to the program that would be funding based, where you submit an application for larger projects. So the minister is very open to that. The reason for this municipality, and I should apologize for the length of my resolutions, but the minister needs support when he goes to the Treasury Board, so that's what the intent of these resolutions are. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Wayland. Any other comments? Okay, we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item C, memo number 025-2025-CS, and that's the ABO Energy Canada Limited request for municipal support resolution for the Temiskaming Wind Power Project. And I just asked Logan maybe to summarize the memo, and I know we have John Clifford on virtually as well, if there's any questions. Okay, and so they will do their presentation. I do have a resolution in front of me, and I'll read that resolution just to consider when we go through that, that memo. So the resolution reads, whereas the proponent is proposing to construct and operate a long-term energy project located on municipal project lands as defined and with the characteristics outlined in table below under the long-term 2 energy supply request for proposals, the LT2E1 RFP issued by the Independent Electricity System Operator, IESO. Whereas capitalized terms not defined herein have the meanings ascribed to them in the LT2E1 RFP. And whereas the proponent has no later than 60 days prior to the proposal submission deadline delivered a pre-engagement confirmation notice to an applicable local body administrator in respect of the municipal project lands that includes the details outlined in the table below, except for the unique project ID, which should only be required as part of the pre-engagement confirmation notice if available. And the table is included, there. Whereas pursuant to the LT2E1 RFP, if the long-term energy project is proposed to be located in whole or in part on municipal project lands, the proposal must include municipal support confirmation, which may be in the form of a municipal resolution in support of proposal submission. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores supports the submission of a proposal for the long-term energy project located on the municipal project lands for the ABO Energy Canada Limited Temiskaming Wind Project as described herein, and that the sole purpose of this resolution is to satisfy the mandatory requirements of Section 4.2C3 of the LT2E1 RFP and may not be used for the purpose of any other form of approval in relation to the proposal or long-term energy project or for any other purpose. In that the proponent has undertaken or has committed to undertake Indigenous and community engagement activities in respect of the long-term energy project to the satisfaction of the municipality, and that the municipal project lands does include land designation as prime agricultural areas in the City of Temiskaming Shores official plan, and as of the date of this resolution, 1, the municipal project lands are not designated as specialty crop areas. 2, the long-term energy project is not a non-rooftop solar project. And 3, the proponent has satisfied the agricultural impact assessment component 1 requirement to the satisfaction of the local municipality. And further, that if the proponent is selected as a selected proponent under the LT2 E1 RFP, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores will engage in good faith with the selected proponent to enable the selected proponent to complete the AIA components 2 and 3 requirement. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Dawson, seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion. Logan.
Thank you, Mayor. So following from the September 2nd, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting, Council received a presentation from ABO Energy Canada regarding the Temiskaming Wind Project. The report outlined the actions taken by ABO Energy to address the requirements of the RFP, as well as to respond to Council's direction following the initial presentation in May, or on May 20th, 2025. So following a review of the information and accompanying administrative report at the last Committee of the Whole meeting, Council referred the matter back to the staff to collect additional information, including potential impacts for presentation at the September 16 meeting today, prior to consideration of the municipal support resolution. So since the September 2nd Committee of the Whole meeting, ABO has submitted an updated property tax estimate, which was appended to the memo, as well as an updated agricultural impact assessment attached as Appendix 2 specific for the Temiskaming Wind Project, which included additional preliminary turbine siting details. They did note that at this stage, the siting information does not reflect the results of a detailed environmental, acoustic, geotechnical, or other site-specific studies that would ultimately inform the final turbine locations, but these studies would only be undertaken if the project is successful in the RFP process. So ABO has further confirmed that there is a maximum of 8 turbines that are proposed within prime ag areas outlined in the city's official plan, or within the official plan, and that negotiations are currently ongoing. As a result, the project footprint may evolve, noting that potentially allowing for the relocation of some of these turbines away from the prime ag lands. So as the requested information has been received, ABO has requested Council consider the municipal support resolution that has been templated by the IESO, which was appended to the memo. They are requesting consideration of it this evening to accompany their bid submission under Window 1 of the Long-Term 2 Energy Supply RFP, for consideration for the October timeline. So they did note that submitting under Window 1 may not be possible if considered following this date. If so, ABO would likely return to Council to request consideration under the Window 2 submission. So John Clifford, as well as I believe Robin Reese, are on the line virtually and available to just sort of expand on the updates made to the agricultural report and site settings of the wind turbines, and any questions from Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody have any questions, any comments? Councillor Whalen? Sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to ask for a recorded vote on the original resolution.
Okay.
The reason being, I'm in a bit of a conundrum here where, as a former councillor for the Township of Diamond, Reeve of the Township of Diamond, councillor for the City of Temiskaming Shores, chair of the Temiskaming Municipal Association over the years, we've passed many resolutions and carried out many projects to protect our industrial land because agriculture is such a big business in Temiskaming. If I was to vote in favor of this, I'd be going in contrary to all the work over the years. So my intent is to vote no. I don't blame the farmers. Farming's not an easy task right now. I can understand their willingness to participate. But based on the principle of all the work we've done over the years, I simply can't go back on what I've decided on in the past now and vote in favor of industrializing agricultural land. So, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Now, was John going? Did John want to? Yeah. Okay, John, I understand you just wanted to go through where those mills would be erected. So maybe I'll just turn it over to you right now before we continue on with input from the rest of council.
Sure, thank you for that. So what we've submitted to council here, along with just with the map, but also just updated language, sort of discussing some of the reasoning for our siting, and the reasons why we have at the moment sited turbines ostensibly in the prime agricultural lands. So first off, as far as the siting here, we have 7 turbines, and we've indicated that 8 would be the max. And the reason there's a difference there is simply because this what we have on the map here is what represents our best siting exercise, taking in considering setbacks, the turbine type, noise emissions. So that's why we have that there. So I just wanted to clarify. But 8 is what would potentially be the maximum, and that is what we're committing to building at the most. And should other opportunities arise as we continue to develop the project a bit more, there's potential that we can move some of the infrastructure up that end further to the south, primarily in the rural areas. As far as reason for siting into the prime agricultural areas, it has a function of design as well as where we'd have to go through to connect turbines that are in the neighboring townships. Now, I understand that the township of Harley has indicated that they won't support development in their township, but we're still working with the township of Harris to gain support from that municipality. And to make the project economical requires us to build through the prime agriculture area. Obviously, we can't build too close to the populated centers. And so the siting turbines in this area allows us to build around. And now we're going to be working with the landowners to identify the best sites within their properties using existing infrastructure such as roadways to minimize our footprint, as well as to locate them on the lowest yielding ports of their properties. In recognition, while it is labeled as prime agricultural land, not every one of these parcels is producing the same amount. In fact, some of these parcels were somewhat recently underutilized and have only recently been redeveloped to be more suitable for agricultural purposes. And as far as any sort of additional information, we're working towards the window 1, if that's a possibility. That's what we're asking for today. But we will continue to update council regardless of the decision today, and address any other outstanding concerns as we go through this process. And I remind, and council certainly has the ability to rescind their support if they feel at some point we're not meeting our obligations that we've stated in our previous meetings here.
Okay, thanks, John. Any other comments from members of council? No? I'd like to make a few comments just with regards to it. And when I look at the revenue source, the municipality we're pretty limited to areas where we can generate additional revenues. And I think when we talk, $250,000 a year, that's substantial. I do agree with Councillor Whalen's comments with regards to losing agricultural land. I think that's a challenge that we've seen, across Ontario. But when I look at energy consumption, And each and every one of us in this room continues to use more and more and more energy. And if I look at AI and the demands that that's going to have on energy consumption, regardless of what energy source we use, there's challenges, to it. And I'm in favor of moving forward with the wind project, just because I do think that when I went to the open house, there was a lot of questions, there was a lot of information that was shared, a lot of answers that were given to some of the comments that were out there, and just wanted to share that from my perspective. And any last comments from anyone? So there was a request that this be a recorded vote. So we do have the resolution on the table, and I'll turn it over to Logan.
Thank you. Councillor Whalen.
Opposed.
Councillor Ducharme.
In favor.
Councillor Dawson.
In favor.
Councillor Nadia Pelletier-Leving.
I'm in favor.
Councillor Wilson.
In favor.
Mayor LaFerrier.
In favor.
Your Worship, the motion carries.
Thank you. And D was removed at the start of our meeting, so takes us to item E, memo number 027-2025-CS, the NOHFC funding for BIA block party. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 027-2025-CS, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a funding agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation in support of the 2025 BIA Block Party event held on July the 25th and 26th, 2025 in the amount of $6,000 for consideration at the September 16th, 2025 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Dawson. Seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. It takes us to item F, Administrative Report CS-047-2025, the sale of municipal property, the vacant lots on Seaton Street, Plan M 105NB, Lot 228, Lot 229, Parcel 7719 SST. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report CS-047-2025. The Council directs staff to continue with the disposition of 2 vacant municipal lots on Seaton Street, described as Plan M 105NB, Lot 228 and Lot 229, Parcel 7719 SST, in accordance with Bylaw Number 2015-160. And that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement of purchase and sale with Paul Donnell as purchaser for the above described lands for $21,000 plus applicable taxes, plus all associated costs, legal, registration, appraisal, administration, etc., in accordance with bylaw number 2015-160 for consideration at the September 16th, 2025 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wayland, seconded by Councillor Graydon. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. This takes us to item G, Administrative Report RS-012-2025, the Facility Condition Assessments. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report RS-012-2025, and that council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Roth IAMS Limited for the completion of 61 facility condition assessments in the amount of $159,754 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the September 16th, 2025 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Ducharme. Seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? Councillor Dawson?
Just confusion here. Was this not looked at when we did the asset management plan? Did we not look at the condition and what was needed with all these buildings back then, or why are we doing it again if that is?
Yeah. Who wants to speak to that? Sure, Matt?
These facility condition assessments will be much more detailed than what was done to complete the asset management plan. They will provide actual details that can be utilized for ongoing maintenance of the individual components within the facilities. The asset management plan as completed gave some generalized scoring based on the conditions at present when it was scored.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 14, bylaws. And I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that A, bylaw number 2025-090, being a bylaw to further amend bylaw number 2022-016, to enter into an agreement with Automotive Materials Stewardship, Inc., for automotive materials, that's oils, oil filters, and antifreeze, collected as part of the household hazardous waste collection event. B, bylaw number 2025-091, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Product Care Association of Canada for paints and coatings, pesticides, and solvents collected as part of the municipal household hazardous waste collection event. C, bylaw number 2025-092, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2023-122 to regulate the care and control of animals and the registration of dogs and cats within the city of Temiskaming Shores, and Appendix 3, the off-leash areas. D, bylaw number 2025-093, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2021-121 to establish and regulate the use of off-leash dog parks in the city of Temiskaming Shores. E, bylaw number 2025-094, being a bylaw to enter into a 2-year agreement with R.J. Burnside and Associates Limited for the provision of drainage, superintendent, and municipal drainage consulting engineer services. Item F, bylaw number 2025-095, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of vacant land on Seaton Street, described as Plan M105NB, Lot 228, Lot 229, Parcel 7719 SST to Paul Donnell. Item G, bylaw number 2025-096, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into a lease agreement with the Halebury Family Health Team for the rental of space at the Halebury Medical Center. Item H, bylaw number 2025-097, being a bylaw to enter into a lease agreement with Dr. Philip J. Smith for the rental of space at the Halebury Medical Center, rooms 223, 225, 227, and 230. Item I, bylaw number 2025-098, being a bylaw to enact a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone 58 Market Street, roll number 5418-010-006-09900, from general industrial M1 to high-density residential exception 20, it's R4-20, in the city of Temiskaming Shores, zoning bylaw number 2017-154. Item J, bylaw number 2025-099, being a bylaw to designate any plan of subdivision or part thereof that has been registered for 8 years or more, which shall be deemed as not a registered plan of subdivision. That's 58 Market Street. Item L, bylaw number 2025-101, being a bylaw to enter into a conditional contribution funding agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation for the 2025 BIA Block Party event. Item M, bylaw number 2025-102, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Roth IAMS Limited for the completion of 61 facility condition assessments. Be hereby introduced and given first, second, and third, and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Wayland. Second by Councillor Graydon. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. And item 15 is schedule of council meetings. A, the committee of the whole meeting held on October the 7th, 2025, starting at 3 p.m. And B, the regular council meeting scheduled for October the 21st, 2025, starting at 6 p.m. And that takes us to our question and answer period. Is there any questions on the floor? Any online? Seeing none? And I just, earlier in the evening, it was nice to be able to have an award recognition for the 3 firefighters that, really went above and beyond and probably saved the life of one of our residents. And, it was nice to be able to recognize them and really thank them for their contributions. And if the local media would like a photo, there was a photo taken, earlier, and we could share that with you to make sure that, that also makes the newspaper. We don't have any closed session tonight. Takes us to item 18, confirming bylaws. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-103, being a bylaw to confirm certain proceedings of council of the Corporation of the City of Temiskaming Shores for its regular meeting held on September the 16th, 2025, and its committee of the whole meeting held on September the 2nd, 2025, and its special meeting held on September the 9th, 2025, be hereby introduced and given first, second, and third, and final reading, and be signed by the mayor and clerk and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Dawson. Seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. And it takes us to item 19, adjournment. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the council hereby adjourns its meeting at 7:45. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks. Councillor Whalen, seconded by Councillor Graydon. All in favor? That motion is carried, and we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.